Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's episode of Wisdom and Associates with me, your host Jemima, we are going to be discussing the various things that people do in the hope that as they do these ritualistic activities, they'll be able to do what is called manifestation. Now, nowadays, we have a lot of vocabulary around things to do with ascending into the supernatural. And one of the many terms that you'll come across, other than consciousness, awareness, elevated consciousness, higher knowledge, transcendent knowledge, mystical realms, spiritual dimensions, mystical locales, there is also a terminology that is also becoming like the new rave word around circles to do with spiritual awakening, and that word is manifestation. Manifestation is not necessarily a bad thing. If you think about it, manifestation has to do with you have a certain dream, you have certain desires, you have a certain goal in mind that you are aiming to achieve. Okay. Now, the process that you take from the time you have the desire in your heart, the desire is also being occupied in your mind, then that process from the time it is conceived in your mind and then it is cultivated over a certain given length of time up to the moment when you now live in that reality, or you get to hold that desire in your hand, if it is something that is physical and tangible in nature. Okay. For example, I don't think it is a bad thing for anybody to desire to live in a good home, in a good house for that matter. I don't think it is a bad thing for anybody to desire to have a car. I don't think there's anything wrong or evil or immoral for that matter if somebody has a certain desire concerning a certain thing that they genuinely want to have. Okay, so manifestation basically has to do with you are desiring something or someone, or you are desiring a certain dream job, and after you engage in certain rituals, as some people try to suggest for you to do, then you end up getting those things. You end up living in that quality of life that you desire. So today we are going to be focusing on these are common things that are associated with manifestation, and you'll get to see them quite a lot and hear about them also quite a lot. And one of those few things, or the few things that I want to talk about today, are affirmations, mantras, vision boards, and things to do with money manifestation methods. For example, the 369 method. Okay, I will touch on these things just briefly so that now we can understand what it is we are talking about. When you're talking about affirmations, you're talking about certain statements that you speak out loudly, maybe under your breath, or you speak in an audible way that is audible enough for you to hear within your hearing range. It's not necessarily that it is so loud that the person next door gets to hear you. You're talking about something about yourself. You're saying those things repeatedly so that as you say them, then in the hope as you say them, something will click, and then you'll begin now to start to shift, and you'll begin to align to that thing that you're affirming. Okay, that is what affirmations are, and I'm going to touch on that as well. The second thing is mantras. I think this one is known in the circles to do with yoga practitioners. You sit, you chant certain things, you chant certain phrases in the Hindu dialect or maybe other dialect or even in English. You say certain things repeatedly, or you mutter a certain kind of a sound in a form of a vowel, so that as you do that, then you begin to now activate your body, activate certain parts of your body, certain organs in your body to become sensitized, and then now you become like you start to navigate life using those signals that the body is giving. Okay. The other thing I mentioned was vision boards. Vision boards are those things where you take, or vision books for that matter, you take certain pictures. For example, you desire to get married, so you take a picture, you go through the magazines, you go through whatever that is, whatever media you find, you take pictures, you cut them out, then you start sticking them in your book, or you take a certain board, then you stick them in such a way that as you wake up, that is the first thing you see. As you go to sleep, that is the last thing you see. So those are what we call vision boards. Some people, as I saw somebody being a lady being interviewed by Oprah. She said how she went further and developed a vision book. Like literally, she took a book and she had a certain page for relationships, then she had a certain page for her career, then she had a certain page for money. She had so many books, like she had many categories of her vision boards, so she compiled them in that vision book. Okay. And then the other thing we are going to be talking about is those money manifestation methods, like the 369 method. Now, this is a method where you you have 3 moments of the day: the morning, the afternoon, and the evening. So in the morning, what the person does, they write something in present tense, that either where they desire to be or what they want to be. Okay. Then in the afternoon, now you say that sentence you write that sentence 3 times. Then come in the afternoon, you say maybe something else in relation to what you have said in the morning. You write it down 6 times. Then before you go to bed, you talk about the same thing or in line with the same theme. You write it down in the book 9 times, or in your journal. Okay. Or you can call them the money manifestation journals. Okay. Now, there is a shortcoming in each of those things that I have mentioned, and that is why I'm going to touch on them today. The affirmations, the mantras, the vision boards or vision books, and the money manifestation methods or money manifestation journals. Now, this is the gross mistake a lot of even Christians, by the way. Let's not pretend that Christians are not included in this. There are Christians nowadays who are mixing many, many, many things. You are, for example, you are at an age where you're advancing in age and you feel the pressure of life. Okay. You have been waiting on certain promises. God maybe spoke to you, or maybe you went to a prophetic meeting or a prayer meeting, a godly meeting, a church meeting, whatever that meeting was. And there was a prophet there who saw you, you became visible, and then they told you this and this is going to happen to you in your life. Okay. But now it has been maybe 10 years. 10 years have gone, 10 years have lapsed, and you are seeing nothing at all. It's like you're being told you're going to receive this bumper harvest in your farm, but the prophet has not told you when the rain is going to come and which exact moment and time and day. So you're the farmer who's waiting for the rain to come. You're looking at the clouds and there's nothing. 10 years have gone by, nothing. Okay. So in the same vein of thought, that is what happens to certain people in life. I'm just giving it like a social analogy for you to be able to understand and relate to. There are some things you have desired and you waited for quite some time. Now you're growing older and you're feeling the pressure. What with your advancement in age? Okay. You are hoping for a financial income breakthrough, and now there's nothing, as in literally there's nothing pointing to that, what was prophesied over you those many years back. And I understandably, you find somebody will say, okay, let me maybe assist God in some way by now engaging with these affirmations, mantras, and the vision boards and the 369 manifestation methods. That is why people sometimes, even Christians, even well-meaning Christians, they get caught up in those I call them snares, because you were promised something, you waited upon it, nothing is happening, and you look really ridiculous as you're waiting. You can imagine when Abraham was promised that he'll have a child, He was past 75, and the wife was well past the childbearing age. She was even way past menopause. So where is this child going to come from? Okay. So there are those moments in time in life where you become like Sarah, you become like, I don't think God meant it this way. Maybe he meant it in another way. And that is why people now rush to these vision boards, affirmations, mantras, and these other manifestation methods. The other thing I came to notice about each of those things is this is the one thing they do to a person, and many people never take notice of that. They begin to take your focus away from being sensitive to your body as you become sensitized. So what happens is when you start creating this vision board, okay, I don't want to talk about idolatry too much, but I want to look at it from another perspective that maybe as you look at it, you can begin to see, okay, I didn't see that perspective before. So this is what happens. The minute you start saying, I am wealthy, I am rich, for example, I am attracting this number of clients in a day, I attract this number of clients in a month, those affirmations, or you say certain whatever those Indian things are, the Om sounds, okay, the Om, okay, or you've been writing down in the journals 3 times in the morning you've written something, 6 times in the afternoon you've written something, 9 times in the evening or before going to bed you have written something, okay. What happens is you start to now disconnect from aligning yourself to become sensitive to those moments where you are in an altered state of consciousness and something is being now communicated to you, to your heart, okay? Things that happen in those mystical realms, communication that happens from that dimension. Usually the first point of the first organ that is going to receive that communication usually is the heart first, okay. But unfortunately what happens is when you engage in affirmations, mantras, and the vision boards and those manifestation methods, you disengage your heart first. So if there's anything that God wants to tell you from that place, in the secret place, then you become desensitized to it, okay? You start disengaging the heart and then you start now moving to your brain. You start engaging the left hemisphere of the brain. And you see the shortfall with that is you start becoming obsessed with that object, that thing that you really desire, okay? You become obsessed with that house that you really want. You become obsessed with that car, okay? So as you do that, now you start activating this lower part of your at the back of your head. You start activating the reticular activating system as you start engaging in those things, okay? And now your heart becomes dull. Your heart now is being bypassed by the brain, by your affirmations. I am wealthy, I am rich, I am attracting this sort of a person into my life, I am attracting my dream job into my life, okay? When you do that, the brain becomes now the thing that starts to now take in those programming commands and it will start acting on them. And as that is happening, your heart organ is now being desensitized more and more. So you start now obsessing over this thing that you want, okay? And the minute you start doing that, you start creating distance between the desire that you have in your heart and now reaching that goal that you're aiming for. That obsession, that thing where you give such high importance, such high credence to that object of desire, that in itself makes you disadvantaged, okay? So you find now the thing that you are desiring, that you're aiming to get, that thing becomes, it develops this repulsion towards you. You find out, if I, for example, let's say you want a car, like for example, maybe you want a Mercedes. Me, I'm not a fan of Mercedes Benz, but let's say you want that. So what happens is, as you activate the reticular activating system, as you are needing those affirmations, the mantras, and those things, vision boards, and whatever, you start obsessing over the car, and then the car becomes visible to you compared to the others. But you'll find the desire is the only thing that you get to engage in. I mean, the imagination bit is what you keep getting stuck in that loophole where you're stuck in desiring something, but you never get to now actually materializing that thing that you are desiring. Okay, you become disengaged. Okay, so these things, I know there are so many people who have testified that they work, they did this, and then within a number of months I was able to manifest my partner, I was able to manifest my dream job, I was able to manifest a certain tier of income, and then I was able to acquire 1, 2, 3 and all those things. I honestly do not understand how, if I repeat I am wealthy 10 times a day, in the morning, in the evening, and then after a certain number of months, I become the wealthiest person in the region where I am. I have never seen such things before. Personally, me, what I tend to think is there are people who are just out there. They're very good at twisting things so that they sound very convincing. And then well-meaning people who are desperate, then they become sucked into that. Okay? There's nothing wrong with manifestation, as I've said. The only issue is, where are you sourcing your manifestation from? And what is the relationship you're engaged with, or the deity that you're in a relationship with, that you are engaging with from a place of love, that is going to help you to achieve those things, for you to materialize those dreams, to materialize the goals, for you to achieve your ambitions, for you to get ahead in life. Who is that person you're in a relationship with that is going to help you to materialize the dreams that you have in your heart? Okay. I will ask you to go to your prayer closet when time affords. If you have been that person that has been engaging in those things, I think you might need to ask in a very sincere way, God, is this thing a good thing? Is there some truth to what she has said? Okay. I do not have anything against manifestation, as I've said. It is just the materialization of those things that you're desiring to have, the goals that you're aiming for. My issue is the techniques that are involved. Those techniques, they are so focused on activating certain parts of the brain, and then it just remains at the head level. It becomes a mental activity, and then something is disengaged, and then you become this person that keeps repeating things over and over again, and years come and go, the days unfold, events unfold, and you're blind to those things as they are unfolding. Okay. With those very few thoughts, I will pause, and then hopefully we will see each other again in the next episode. Shalom.